I'm pulling back a little bit on this one ball and I'm killing it with left hand English. I'm killing the speed of the cue ball with left, bottom left, to go down to that bottom round and just barely hit the bottom round, get the right position on the 2 to get center ball on the 3. So I'm shooting this 2 with bottom just stun drawn back out the center table for a shot and the right angle on the 3. This is just a stun draw shot, just a little bit of bottom here, center bottom, and just force the cue ball into the 2 so it has nowhere else to go but up table, towards center table, but a little bit left of center. Because you need a little bit of a right hand cut to bounce off that right hand rail and back out on, or back down table on the 4. Do you remember the parallel angle video? Well, this is it. This is the parallel angle. But I'm forcing it to be parallel this time, so I have to kind of juice this ball, and I have to put bottom left on it to hit that side rail and swing it back up down table on the 4 ball. And of course, the right angle on the 4 to get back on the 5. It's a little more towards center table. You don't want to be straight in on the 4. This is a stun shot. Force this cue ball into that right hand rail there and come back out on the 5. But I misjudged how far I needed to get back on this 5. And I just didn't think it through, and this would have been better off shooting either center ball or a little bit of top on this to get way further over on the pool table. As you can see, this is not good. This is tough here. You're trying to get all the way back up table behind that 6 ball. And again, you're dealing with a parallel angle here. But this time you're putting nothing but left-hand English on this ball to get all the way back down. This is kind of tricky and it's kind of tough, and we don't have much margin for error, but we have to go for it. There's no graphics on this one because my body is actually blocking the shot, but we're just putting top English, straight top on this. We're bouncing off that right hand rail and going back down table and trying to get as close to straight in as we can on the 7 ball. This is a straight stun shot. If this was straight in, we would wind up with a stop shot and the cue ball would just stop, but the natural angle is not going to let the cue ball stop, so it should come up table a little bit closer on the 8 ball. Now, I know that you're probably wondering about the title of this video and what this has to do with this actual video so far, but here's where it comes up, and here's the most valuable lesson in this video. If we look at this 8 ball, you would think going by the tangent line off the 8 ball and down to that top route, and you could just put top hand English on this and bounce off that round, go back to center table, and you'd be just fine on the 9 ball shot. A little bit of a cut, it's not straight in, but you're still just fine. But if you thought that, you'd be wrong, because this shot is a whole lot more full than it looks like with this camera angle. If we put top on this, we're going to follow this ball about halfway between the side rail, about 1/2 of a diamond off that corner pocket, And in order to get the right shape on the 9 ball, we'd have to put a whole lot of top on it. We'd have to hit it really hard to bounce 2 rails back out on the 9. It's just not a good option. So what I try to do here, and what I fail at doing, is forcing a tangent line. Actually, is just stunning it off that 8 ball very, very hard into the top rail, and putting right hand English on it, and come up right about where the cue ball is right now. No other rail, just that top rail, and bounce back out to where the cue ball is now. But the problem I run into is in hitting this ball way too hard. If I didn't hit this ball, my plan would have, if I didn't hit it extremely hard, my plan would have worked out fine. And what you're not seeing with the naked eye, I'm going to show you right here, right now, in this video, what happens when you hit a ball too hard. Did you see what happened? I'm going to run it again so you can see, and I'm going to zoom in on it this time so you can see exactly what's happening to that cue ball. This split second it hits the 8 ball. The moment of contact, it actually jumps up in the air. That cue ball is airborne. You see the shadow under it? That cue ball is up in the air, and it's like a car hitting a wall. No one really knows what's going to happen with the car. It even bounces a couple of times when it comes back down on the table. And in this case, the car hit the wall and it bounced a little bit backwards. And while it was up in the air, it's spinning at high speed like a top. And all that English that was supposed to be used during the shot and while it was on the table, it saves itself until it hits that bottom rail. And when it hits that bottom rail, all the English is applied off that rail, and it came back in an extreme angle and right into the 9 ball. So these are all the reasons not to slam balls into the pocket. Never, ever, ever slam balls into the pocket. This is a finesse game. It's an artistic game. It's a game of rhythm. It's a game of control. Just like the song says. I'm not sure what song says that, but there ought to be a song that says that. Stay in control of Whitey. And the funny thing about all of that is some of the old-time hustlers actually used to use that shot to benefit their game and to get themselves out of tricky situations. Keith McCready is one of them. But Keith really never went super far with his career. And he kind of showboated a lot, and this would definitely be a showboat shot. I did it by accident. I wasn't showboating. I lost control of Whitey by just hitting her too hard. And you always, always, always want to stay in control of Whitey. A whole lot of people miss this shot, and I'll watch them, and I'll see that they're putting right hand bottom English on it. They want to throw this ball, and that's probably the right thing to do to keep from scratching in that side. And they'll get down and they'll line up perfect, and everything will be right. And what they're doing wrong is when they stroke it, they're not following through with their stroke. They're kind of afraid of this shot, and they get a little bit nervous and they tighten up and they just kind of poke it, and it throws it a little too much, and they go into that left hand rail down there, and they rattle the ball or whatever. If you're going to shoot this shot, it's the right shot, bottom right. You want to throw it a little bit, but you don't want the cue ball to take over the 9 ball. So what you're doing wrong here, if you're missing this shot a lot, is you're not stroking, you're not following through, you're not forcing the cue ball into the 9 ball. There it is, another award winner. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're going to play it all over again from start to finish, without the editing, without the cuts, without the graphics, and with some music. Let's just dig on it. Thanks again for tuning in.